In this video, we are going to take a look at creating new materials and creating custom materials. So I'm going to go ahead and start out and draw some walls in here. Make sure I set my top constraint here to my level 2. So first off, we're going to look at creating a custom or a floor material. Then we'll look at assigning a tile to a wall, and then we'll take a look at creating custom materials. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and draw my floors. I'm just going to go ahead and use my own sketch tool here. Remembering that we're going to go to the center line of interior walls and the exterior for the exterior walls. I'm just a little bit off there, so I can quickly use my line tool to adjust. Make sure that looks like it's on the center line there. All right, so there's one floor. So I'll go ahead and hit the check mark on that one. Now, if I want to make a custom material or custom floor type for that, I am first off going to do a search for images to find something that I would like. So I'm just doing do a Google search here. It's going to be important to make sure that you put in either seamless or what's the another term? Can't think of it right now. See if that comes back. But if you put in seamless, the important thing about that is that means that the image is able to tile and to repeat without showing the pattern, like a pattern repeat. All right, so that'll make more sense once we load it in here. But really important, you want to make sure you get a seamless image. So you can see here that if if this image was stacked up against itself, this would continue into here, so you wouldn't see the end of the image. You also want to make sure that you're searching something that is high resolution. If it is too low of a resolution, then it's going to be blurry and not look good. So those are two things that you're going to want to look for. So we'll go ahead and try this one. We'll see if this seamless actually does work or not. Sometimes it says it's seamless and it is not. So just you have to make sure you find good images that work for you. And as you get into it, you'll kind of start to just build up a library, and that can't be downloaded. Hold on. So once we have that image saved, I'm going to then select my floor here. I'm going to go into edit type and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to give it a new name. I'm still going to leave it at 12 inches thick. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a custom wood floor. Again, this naming convention is for your reference. You can give it whatever name you would like. I go into structure here, go into my preview, and I'm going to add a material. So right now too, we also, in this section view, we only have one layer, which is this structure. But for this one, I'm actually going to insert a layer and give that a thickness here. And this is going to go to 11 inches. So I'm keeping my overall thickness of 1 inch, but you can see now in the preview that I have it's a layer here on the top. And the reason for doing that is because that wood floor isn't going to be 12 inches thick. There's going to be something below it. And honestly, even though 11 inches is very thick, but depending on your construction, it could be wood structure or beams to support below it or a concrete slab. Different things here based on the structure you're building, you would be editing that accordingly. But I'm just going to put that top layer here. If I click on the numbers, it should highlight it over here, but it's not. But you can see that, this bottom one is the 11 inches thick. I'm going to leave that without a material for now, but I'm just going to go ahead and put the flooring on this top 1 inch. So I'm going to go into my materials and I am going to go down here to the bottom and say create new material. And something that's really important to track within the materials under the appearance tab is the asset here. And then in the previous video, we looked at our asset browser here and about, if we change one of these, let's say if that one went to this one here, if I double click on that, you'll notice that now it's a different asset here. But really important to note that you can have the same asset applied to different materials. And if that happens, you might inadvertently change another material, not realizing it. Okay, so just remember that while you have, right now there's kind of three different levels, right? We have a floor type, we have a material, and then we have an assigned asset. So you can cross apply some of those, but if you want it to be completely unique, make sure that each one is its own thing. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say create new material. So you can see now this is generic 10, and we'll rename this. Okay, now to add in that image, I'm going to just click here where it says image, and I'm gonna go search for that image, as that's gonna load it. So this is the second image that I downloaded, because that first one wouldn't download. Um, Now to scale that, this is your kind of your little preview here. You can also change how that's displaying. So if this is a floor, I might want to see it in a plane. I can't really see that much on that one, so maybe I want to try a cube, just so you can see it more on a flat surface. So you can change the preview there. Now to scale it, because I don't know exactly what scale it got brought in at, I'm going to click on the image. And so here, this gives you an idea of what the scale is. So I am going to change that. Highly unlikely that this would just be a foot. Again, you'll know the scale based on your materials. So let's go ahead and say these are 6-inch wide planks, in which case, this distance here, if that's 6 inches, that's probably 2 feet. Again, this could vary based on what your actual material is. I'm just going to do a general estimate for this one so we can look at the scale. All right, so somewhere in like 8 to 10 feet for this going across. So I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to go to scale. Right now it is locked, and I'm going to leave it at being locked. And what that means is it's going to scale proportionally. So if I change one of these numbers, it's going to update the other accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll go with 10 feet. All right, so that's going to update that to 10 feet. So you can see here on the appearance how that scaled that up. And I'm going to leave, whoops, the repeat. Let me click out of that so I don't do that again. The repeat. So you can see the repeat starting here on the images. It does look like this one is actually seamless, which is great. But it's just the repeat for the tile. So it's going to continue to repeat that image throughout the entire application of the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And then I'm going to check my graphics tab. I'm going to add a pattern to it. I'm going to add a model pattern to it so that it's adjustable. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to say OK again, OK again. And there we go. So there's my pattern that we just added under the graphics tab. If I switch that graphic display option to realistic, then we'll see that image there. Oh, see, this does have a little bit of a, it's not completely, it's pretty good, but you see that line there? That's because of the repeat. So it looks like it's pretty good in one direction and not the other. So that's what I mean about just kind of finding the images. Now let me go back into that one. And I'm not going to click on it this time. I'm just going to go into the materials. So if I want to edit a material without going into the floor properties, I can do that. Just go to your Manage tab and go to Materials. And the reason I'm not clicking on the floors because I want to make this change in here and apply it so you can see the difference. But let's go back to this one here. So let's say I put this at 5 feet. And then watch this here, this pattern. Okay, so you can see the adjustment there of the scale. So that's what your sample size is really affecting, is the scale of that image relative, to the item. Okay, so there's a custom floor pattern. Let's go ahead and take a look at applying a material to a wall. And let's see if I've, all right, I'm gonna find a tile here. Doesn't look like that reflection is going to work. We'll give this one a try. These images are links as far as Revit is concerned. So you do want to save them next to the project file. If for any reason you put them on a zip drive or something and it is not in the same location as the Revit file, Revit will not be able to source that information and won't be able to find it for you. So you need to make sure to keep the images with the Revit files. All right, so let's go ahead and make a new wall type here. I'll just call this gyp. Um, so gypsum wallboard, gyp with tile one side. And I'll go ahead here into edit. And similar to what we did with the floor, I am going to add a layer here and I'm going to give it a thickness. I'm going to bring that down to 7. So I'm keeping my overall thickness at 8 inch. So it's consistent with my naming convention here. And then now I have, similar to the floor, I have 2 different layers, which when I click on it here, it's highlighting accordingly. So I'll go ahead and add, let's create a tile for that. All right, so this one, remember that asset, we want to make sure it's different. So this is generic 10. I'm going to go ahead and create another new material. It's generic 11. And then I'm going to go to image and I will load that wall tile. So we'll see if this one works. There might be an issue with this image. Sometimes Revit can take a second to load these. This is a little bit unusual. It normally doesn't take this long. Gonna check the file size over here on my other screen. See if we can see what's going on. Nope, not that big of a file. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this recording and get it sorted, and I'll start another video to pick up right here.